Welcome to Study Time, a televised home learning program produced by Rwanda Education Board.
Hello students, welcome to TV learning program. My name is Benon. I will be taking senior 4 students in biology. Dear students, before we start our lesson today, allow me request you 2 important things. 1, to pay attention. Point number 2, to actively participate in this lesson. Your active participation here is about following all the steps of the lesson. Dear students, when I say a smallest functional unit of the body, or the basic unit of the body, do you understand it? Excellent. It is a cell. And when I talk about cells, do you know 2 main types of cells? Good. We have prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. How are they different? Prokaryotic cells have no true nucleus. Eukaryotic cells have true nucleus. How many types of eukaryotic cells do you know? 2 main types. One is plant cell, another one is animal cell. Those cells have small structures inside them, which we call organelles. Excellent. Can we give examples of small structures we find inside cells? Yes, we can have chloroplast, we can have mitochondria, we can have lysosome, we can have Golgi apparatus, we can have a smooth and rough endoplasmic reticulum, we have the nucleus, and so on. Those are different parts of the cell which perform different functions. I understand that these cells are found in plant and animal cells. Of course, you also understand that. My question is, do all these cells perform the same functions? No. We have cells which perform different functions. Example, platelets and white blood cells. Do they perform the same functions? No. Platelets are responsible for blood clotting. White blood cells are responsible for defending the body from diseases. You can see they are different. You even have other cells which perform other functions. And how do we call that? There we say cells have specialized to perform their functions. What do you understand when we talk about specialization? It is the process of concentrating on what you can do best and leave other things for other people. Can we take an example of specialization in school? Yes. Let us take example of students who are still in ordinary level. You find them doing 9 subjects or more than 9. But when they go to A level, they pick some subjects out of 9. You can find a student in A level is doing 4 subjects or 5 instead of 9 he or she was doing in O level. That is specialization. You concentrate on what you can do best. We will find students doing sciences, physics, chemistry, and biology. Others will take languages, English, French, and Kinyarwanda. Others will take history and geography because that's what they can do best. That is what we call specialization. The same will happen when they go at the university. You will find some students doing medicine, others doing pharmacy, others doing law, others doing engineering, others doing history, and so on. That is a very good example of specialization, where you concentrate on what you can do best, and then you leave other things for other people to do them. Even in our body, we have cells which have specialized. This is our lesson today, students. Our lesson is from Unit 4, Cell Structure and Specialization. The lesson will be specialized cells. According to what we have said, what do you understand when the teacher says specialized cells? These are cells which have developed certain characteristics to allow them perform their functions. I repeat, cells which have developed characteristics to allow them perform their functions. Those are specialized cells. These cells are found in our body. And remember, in our body, cells have different size, they have different shape, and they perform different functions, as we have said. That's why we will see that the egg cell is big in size and the sperm cell is very small because they differ in shape, they can differ in size, even their function is different. Because the egg cell is like 30 times bigger than the sperm cell. And their functions, or the chromosomes they have, combine together to form a diploid cell. So that process of cells having different functions is what we call specialization. Examples of specialized cells. Students, in animals, we have specialized cells. In plants, we also have specialized cells. Examples of specialized cells in animals, we can have example of red blood cells. Do you know where we find red blood cells? Very nice. Red blood cells are part of circulatory system or cardiovascular system. And these cells have a very important function. Do you know it? Yes, they transport oxygen to body cells because oxygen is needed for respiration. Then, when they drop oxygen, they pick carbon dioxide and transport it to respiratory system so that it can be eliminated from the body. How are red blood cells adapted to perform their functions? When you see this one is a red blood cell, they say this red blood cell doesn't have a nucleus. And that is very important because it provides large surface area or enough space for the pigment called hemoglobin. Red blood cells don't have nucleus to provide enough space for hemoglobin. Another adaptation is red blood cells have a pigment called hemoglobin. This is a protein pigment which is very important because it has high affinity for oxygen. Another function or adaptation of red blood cells, they are biconcave. And this is very important because it increases the surface area for absorption of oxygen and carbon dioxide. That means having biconcave shape provides large surface area or enough space for absorption of gases. This is a cell, animal cell. And if it is a cell, remember it has the cell membrane. And one of the functions of cell membrane is to allow materials to go in and out, which means this cell has thin and flexible as well as semi-permeable membrane. so that oxygen can easily diffuse inside and carbon dioxide can easily diffuse out. Those are some of the adaptations of red blood cells to perform their functions. They have biconcave shape, to provide large surface area for absorption of gases. Their membrane is thin and flexible so that they can easily allow materials to go in and out. Their shape is biconcave. They don't have a nucleus to provide enough space. They also have hemoglobin pigment. Students, red blood cells transport oxygen and carbon dioxide in our body. We also have nerve cells. This is another type of cells in our body. In which system do we find nerve cells? Nerve cells are part of nervous system. Do you remember components of nervous system? Excellent. Brain, spinal cord, and nerve cells. This is an example of a nerve cell. We can even call it a neuron. You can see it has different parts, and these parts perform different functions. The functions of nerve cells is to transmit nerve impulses from one part of the body to another part of the body or to the central nervous system. As you see here, it has what we call dendrite. These are dendrites. And the function of dendrites is to receive nerve cells. Then it has what we call cell body. And inside cell body, you can see there is a nucleus. Remember, the function of the nucleus is to control all activities of the cell. It also has genetic material. Then, as you see here, we have the axon, which is very long, so that these cells can transmit nerve impulses a long distance in our body. The axon is surrounded by myelin sheath. Myelin sheath is very important because it insulates the axon. It also speeds up the nerve impulse. It also has terminal branches which attach to different organs of the body. This is a cell which is adapted to transmit nerve impulses from one part of the body to another. It has dendrites, it has cell body, it has the nucleus to control all activities of the cell, it has a very long axon because nerve impulses move a long distance. Then it also has myelin sheath to insulate as well as speed the transmission of nerve impulses. Remember, nerves transmit electrical impulses. Another cell we find in our body, which is a specialized cell because it performs a particular function, is a sperm cell. Sperm cells are specialized cells in our body because they are responsible for reproduction. How are they adapted for that? They have nucleus, and this nucleus has 23 chromosomes only. That means there are 23 chromosomes, yet other body cells have 46 chromosomes. That is an adaptation, students, because these chromosomes will have to combine with chromosomes of the egg cell so that they become 46. Then on top, it has what we call acrosome. On the head of the sperm, it has acrosome, and acrosome contains hydrolytic enzymes which dissolve the zona pellucida, or the membrane of the egg cell, so that the sperm can enter into the egg cell. When you see in the middle of the sperm cell, we have what we call mitochondria. And the function of mitochondria is to provide energy needed by the sperm cell. Remember, the sperm cell moves a long distance in the female reproductive system when it is going in the fallopian tube or oviduct to fertilize the egg cell. So there is need for energy to move that distance. Then there's also the tail or the flagellum, and the function of the tail is to swim forward as the sperm is moving in the female reproductive system. Those are some of the adaptations of the sperm to fertilize the egg cell. The sperm has a chromosome, which contains hydrolytic enzymes. It has the nucleus, which has 23 chromosomes. It has the middle piece, which has mitochondria to provide energy. Then it has the tail to swim the sperm forward. A sperm cell is a very good example of a specialized cell in our body because it performs a particular function. We also have egg cell. Egg cell, this one is produced by female reproductive system. And this one is a reproductive cell. One of the adaptations, it has the nucleus, and this nucleus only has 23 chromosomes. That means 23 chromosomes of the sperm cell will combine with 23 chromosomes of the egg cell, and these two will form a zygote which has 46 chromosomes. Sperm cell is haploid. It has half the number of chromosomes. The egg cell is haploid. It has half the number of chromosomes, 23, 23, and they combine together to form 46 chromosomes of a zygote. This one is a diploid cell. These are haploid cells. So the egg cell having 23 chromosomes is an adaptation. Students, when you see the egg cell, it has the membrane here we call zona pellucida. This membrane is very important because it is adapted to perform its function. What does it mean? When one sperm cell enters, this membrane becomes hard and thick so that no any other cell or sperm cell can enter into the egg cell. The egg cell has fat droplets which produce cholesterol and other lipids which are important in the formation of this membrane. We have also said that the egg cell is big in size, 30 times bigger than the sperm cell, so that this sperm cell can easily get where to enter. This is another specialized cell in our body because it performs a particular function. Sperm cell and egg cell are reproductive cells, and they are adapted to perform their functions. Then we have ciliated cells. These are cells we find in respiratory system. They are very important because when you see these cells, they have cilia. This is an adaptation. And the function of cilia is to trap dust particles. When you're breathing in, accidentally you may breathe dust particles, or some microorganisms may enter and go to the respiratory system. What these cells do is to trap them, so that as these cilia are beating with the mucus produced by goblet cells, then the mucus goes back up in the trachea so that it can be swallowed or it can be released. These cells are adapted to trap those dust particles and harmful microorganisms because they have cilia. We can find them in respiratory system. Then, students, we also have cells in plants which have particular functions. We can take example of mesophyll cells. Mesophyll cells are two types. We have what we call pale-celled mesophyll cells. We also have what we call spongy mesophyll cells. These are pale-celled mesophyll cells. These are spongy mesophyll cells. How are these cells important? How are they adapted to perform their functions? When you see this cell, it has small structures. Those are called chloroplasts. And those chloroplasts have chlorophyll, the colored substance, or we can say pigment, for photosynthesis. They have many chloroplasts for photosynthesis. Another adaptation, you can see this is the upper epidermis. And on top of the upper epidermis, we have cuticle. So this is the upper part of the leaf. And this upper part of the leaf absorbs or receives sunlight. And that sunlight is very important in photosynthesis. So the pale-celled mesophyll cells are very close to the upper epidermis so that they can absorb sunlight, which is needed for photosynthesis. These cells, when you see them, they are very close to each other. They are even big in size to provide enough space for absorption of sunlight. Those are pale-celled mesophyll cells. Then below them, we have what we call spongy mesophyll cells. When you see the number of chloroplasts in spongy mesophyll cells is small compared to the number of chloroplasts in pale-celled mesophyll cells. These cells are irregular shaped, and in between them, you can see we have what we call air space. This air space is very important because it provides large surface area for gases to go in and out. When I say gases to go in and out, I mean carbon dioxide to go in because it is needed by plants in the process of photosynthesis. Then oxygen to get out because oxygen is a byproduct or a waste product of photosynthesis. So those gases can go in and out through stoma. Stoma is the singular form of stomata. Stomata are tiny holes we find in the leaves of plants in our environment. So these cells are adapted to perform their functions. So those are specialized cells. Then we have what we call xylem cells. The xylem cells make xylem tissue. Xylem cells are important for what, students? Excellent. They are important for transporting water and mineral salts from roots to upper parts of the plant. Xylem vessels transport water and mineral salts from roots to upper parts of the plant. How are they adapted for that? They have dead cells. Dead cells don't have organelles, and that provides enough space for the movement of water and mineral salts to upper parts of the plant. Then they also have lignin. Lignin is a substance which strengthens the vessels in plants. Here I mean xylem vessels. Then they also have tracheid cells which are elongated. They are very long to provide enough space for movement of water. Xylem cells are specialized to perform particular functions. This is the xylem cell, the xylem vessel, and you can see the walls are thick and they are made up of lignin, which strengthens them. Students, we also have phloem cells. Phloem cells make phloem tissues. And these tissues transport food, nutrients, like glucose and amino acids, from one part of the body to another part of the body. Here we say they transport it in two ways. Here, they have adaptations. They have sieve tubes, which don't have nucleus, to provide enough space for the transport of food nutrients. They also have companion cells. Companion cells are living cells which have mitochondria. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondria provide energy needed by phloem vessels to transport food nutrients from the source to the sink. When I say from the source, I mean where they are produced. When I say to the sink, I mean where those food nutrients are used. That is a phloem vessel which has sieve plate, it has cytoplasm, and then companion cells. This is the comparison between xylem and phloem vessels. The type of transport is a physical process in xylem because there is no need for energy, and then phloem vessels need energy. The substances transported in xylem, here we have water and mineral salts from roots to upper parts of the plant. Products of photosynthesis, like glucose and amino acids, are transported by phloem vessels, which are made up of phloem cells. The direction of transport in xylem vessels, it is one direction, from roots to upper parts of the plant. Then for phloem vessels, it is two-way, from leaves to other parts of the plant, or from the stem to other parts of the plant. The root hair cell, this one is another type of the cell, which is very important in absorbing water and mineral salts, this time from roots. This time from the ground. They have root hair, which provides enough space, large surface area, for absorption of water and mineral salts from roots. They have vacuole and other parts of the cell. The function of root hair cells is to absorb water and mineral salts from the soil so that they can be transported to upper parts of the plant. Dear students, let us make a quick review of the specialized cells we have seen. We have seen sperm cell, egg cell. We have seen red blood cells, nerve cells. Then we have seen mesophyll cells. We have seen root hair cells. We have seen xylem cell and phloem cell. Before we finish our lesson today, this is your homework. Define the term cell specialization. Give any 5 examples of specialized cell in the human body. Question number 3, give any 4 examples of specialized cells in the cassava plant. Question number 4, what are the adaptations of red blood cells to perform their functions? Question number 5, in which body system do we find nerve cells? Question number 6, compare and contrast xylem and phloem vessels. Thank you very much for today. Enjoy the rest of the day.